Hey there friends, Dave Paulides, Can-Am Missing Project, copyrighted edition for our video channel. And there's the executive producer, Huck, who is also Huck TV. Good girl. It's super hot outside, and Huck doesn't like hot weather. She hates it. Yeah, good. Yeah. You good pup. So, she's going to hang out with us for a while. And she goes, okay, Dad, that's good. And this is a special extended edition of Missing 411. And when I say that, it usually means we're going to cover one big case. And you guys have been asking me to cover this one case for quite a while. So, you got it. I don't like to jump into incidents where it hasn't been thrashed out. Too many things can happen. Too many other obstacles maybe in the place of the investigation. But once an investigation has gone through the coroner's office, they release the cause of death, and it's the investigative body has essentially given up on it, which has happened here. Time for me to pitch my 2 cents and tell you what I think. Now, this case today is something that's been going on for over a year, or close to a year. And I probably had 50 emails about it. Now let's start off with something easy. In Missing 411, a sobering coincidence, I've talked a lot about young men, predominantly. About 1% is women. So predominantly young men, healthy, athletic, academic, that were out drinking, that disappeared, and they were usually found in a body of water. Now, how many people here have watched Missing 411, the UFO Connection? If you haven't watched it, you can watch it right now for free, along with Missing 411, The Hunted, for free on Tubi, Vimeo, Amazon, Amazon Prime, all kinds of locations. So please watch it, because it'll help you with this understanding that we're going to talk through. Now, in that movie, we talked about elk that were taken. We talked about a human that was taken. And we talked about a series of disappearances, all involving UFOs. Now, some people have made some super derogatory comments about me because of the mere associations I made. I mean, there's some really nasty comments. The movie was boring. Go over there on Amazon and read some of them. They're horrific, some of them. So, I realize I'm a big boy. I could take those comments. What I don't like is when people blatantly lie. And because there's people on the periphery that know nothing about what I do that are going to read those comments and take them as they're truthful. And when I talk about cases like I'm going to talk about today, I'm going to get a new crowd of people in watching, and they're going to think, oh, this guy is crazy, or this guy... And you people out there say, oh, don't worry about it, Dave. We know. It's not you guys that I'm worried about. It's new people that come in that read the comments that think they're truthful. And that's why I'm concerned. The case today. Oh, you want to go, Huck? Yeah, you can go. You've been a good girl. You trust me to produce this correctly? Okay, there you go. Thank you. when I get up and walk in here, and Huck's in the next room, she knows right away her role. Come on in, make an appearance. All right. This man's name was Noah Presgrove, 19 years old. Went missing September 3rd, 2023 in Terrell, Oklahoma. Now, Noah had just graduated from high school. He was a four-sport lettered athlete from Comanche High School: wrestling, football, cross country, and track. He was a stud. He attended Ray of Hope Church. He was a Christian. And his parents and his relatives made it a point to say he was 100% a patriot. He loved all water sports. He loved the country. He was described as a humble jokester. And he was known as being the most popular person in high school and the most athletic in school. In 2017, he got emancipated from his parents and he was living with his grandmother. He was raised in Stevens County, Oklahoma. He had one natural sister named Rollins, and he had 5 additional siblings on his dad's side. I always like to find a picture that exudes the person. This is Noah. Yeah, you would say he was a good-looking young man. There were pictures of him out there in his football jersey, pictures of him out there in his bathing suit. I mean, you could see, put together guy. Now, once he graduated from high school, he decided that he was going to take a 1 year off and attempt to get a wrestling scholarship to college, because otherwise he wasn't going to be able to afford to go. Well, that wasn't going too well, and so towards the end of 2023, he made a decision and he told others that he was going to enroll in the military. Fine way to go. Honorable. No problem. Now, on September 3rd, Noah was at a party. He started to attend that party a few days earlier. Yeah, now here's gets a little odd. It was a 4-day party for a friend's 22nd birthday. So it was just 1 mile north of Terrell, Oklahoma. And there were a lot of friends and people there and a lot of liquor. Yeah, it's true. Noah was only 19 years old, but he was drinking his share of booze. Now, on September 3rd, he was at the party, and there were a lot of people there. A lot of people. And there were a lot of things to do. They had ATVs, they had games, music, TV. It was a good party. Well, on the 3rd, and they also had ATVs to ride, and he was at the party riding an ATV and crashed it. He wasn't hurt super bad. He got back to the party. He was pretty dirty, and he was trying to clean himself up, and he got into an argument with his girlfriend. Now, what's interesting about that is that people in his family didn't know he had a girlfriend. In fact, a lot of people made comments at different forums that they wanted to know who this girl was because they never knew he had a girlfriend. We got into an argument with his girlfriend. Then he asked a friend if he could sleep in their bed. Friend said no. And he went over and he tried to find his shoes. He was barefoot. He found one of his shoes, but he couldn't find the other shoe, so he just put on a shoe and walked out and said he was going to take a walk. And that was the last time Noah was seen alive. Now, thinking about this, at that point, if you're a young person, you need to take care of each other. I'm sorry, but you do. You guys are adults. You're over 18. You can't let people walk away from a party who have been drinking. That should be the number one rule if you want to be mature. Noah had been drinking and he walked away. He didn't say where he was going, didn't say when he was coming back, but he took a walk. His girlfriend was mad at him. He was mad at his girlfriend, so he was alone. The timeline in here, it gets to be very vague. And the sheriff, Oklahoma Bureau of Investigation, the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, and the Jefferson County Sheriffs all had difficulty at this point trying to figure out where he went, who or if he was with anybody. Very vague. Now, the party was located about 1 mile north of Terrell, Oklahoma. This is the main highway, North and South Highway 81. Party was north about a mile and then just a little over on a very rural dirt road. On September 3rd, Noah was living with his grandma. And she knew he was at a party, but she wasn't real sure where, and she wasn't positive when he was coming home. At least that's what many of the articles stated. I appreciate the grandmother even offered to take in Noah. He was an adult, so I understand why you may just give him the freedom to do what he wants. I get that. On the morning of September 4th, nobody knew where Noah was at. Partiers didn't. Grandmother didn't. Family and friends didn't. And that is a problem. At 19 years old, somebody needs to know where you're at, especially if you've been drinking. Otherwise, you end up in the situation that I'm going to explain right here. And this is sobering. At 5:43 a.m. on September 4th, 0.2 miles north of the party, an Oklahoma driver is going down Highway 81, and he sees something on the right side of the road. Whatever it is parallel to the roadway, near the white line between the lane divider and the shoulder. And this person has the wherewithal to stop and get out and look. He first believed it might have been just a dead deer. But as he got closer, he noticed that it was a naked body laying on the white line, blood coming out of its head. Other drivers pulled over and stopped now, and they all called 911. And oddly, very oddly, right next to the main part of the body is a folded pair of shorts. Yeah, you heard that right. If you've been a follower of Missing 411, that should be ringing a bell in your head right now. Naked body, folded clothes. Well, they called 911. Jefferson County sends out the sheriff of the county, Jeremy Wilson. Been a sheriff since 2005. And prior to that, he served in the military. He had a lot of law enforcement experience. Also responded was the sheriff's undersheriff, Jerry Williams. They described seeing blood coming from the head. Very initial thoughts is that this had been an auto accident and that this victim had been hit. So they start to search. And what are they searching for? Motor vehicle parts. When you hit something with your car, like a deer or a person, it's almost a guarantee it's going to be two things. There's going to be skid marks. There's going to be auto parts at that scene. But they searched for a half a mile in each direction. They didn't find any clothing. They didn't find any auto parts. And they didn't find any skid marks. And that is very unusual. Quick story. At the beginning of my career, I was a brand new officer in Fremont, city of Fremont. And one night I was working a certain part of the city, and I was told of a major vehicle accident at this intersection. I think at the time I was 21 years old. And I get there, it's just me and an older lady, maybe 55, 60, and a dead young man, not much younger than me. He was on a motorcycle. It was about almost dark. He didn't have his headlight on. He was speeding. And this woman pulled out in front of him. Never saw him. And she was completely destroyed. She knew that she'd taken this young man's life. Not her fault. Speed estimate was over 80 in a 45. Should have had his headlight on. He didn't. The woman couldn't have seen him. He came around a turn so quick. There's no way that she could have. But I'll never forget that. I'll never forget being at that scene. First time I was ever alone with a dead body. And here was this young man who just an hour earlier was living life. I had nightmares about that for several nights after I went home. Couldn't shake it. And luckily, in Alameda County, we didn't have to notify parents about death. The coroner did that. The coroner came out and took custody of the body. There was no mystery about what happened. But thankfully, I didn't have to deal with the parents because I don't think I could have mentally handled it. I would have freaked out. But death is an unusual thing. And until you are mature and mentally fit to work around a dead body. I wasn't then, but that really matured me quickly. After that, I'd seen bodies hundreds of times, but that first time still sticks in my mind. So the sheriff comes out and he's looking at Noah's body. And they're trying to figure out what happened. None of it is making sense. He didn't get hit by a car. It was not an auto accident. Oklahoma Highway Patrol came out and said that. And it was odd that the body is lined up right on the white line separating the lane from the shoulder. So the party, the city's right here. Party was right here. And he's found about 0.2 miles away from the party on a lane on Highway 81. Very rural area. No marks per se on the body, except just a very little scratch here and there, but not much. No paint transfer on the body. Yes, when you get hit by a car, paint transfers from the car to you. You don't think it would, but it does. No skid marks. Friends happen to come by as the traffic gets stopped up and slowly the highway gets closed. One of his best friends was out fishing with his own father and happened to stop and see Noah. He was quickly identified, even though he had no ID. People saw him and knew him. So all this happened at 5:43 a.m. At 7 a.m., Noah's brother, who was a teacher, came by. It was Noah. Now, one thing that everyone at the scene had a problem with were the clothes. Why would a piece of clothing be folded next to the body? And he had 2 broken teeth, and the pieces of the teeth were within 12 feet of the body. He was lying on his left side, legs were straight, and his arms were tucked up next to the body. Body was taken to the Oklahoma State Coroner's Office. So after the body gets moved, there were positive signs of death, so he wasn't transported. But the sheriff and the undersheriff said that they've never seen anything like this in all their years of law enforcement. Oklahoma Highway Patrol came by. They were dumbfounded as well. Soon after that, the coroner stated that Noah died of blunt force trauma. Blunt force, that can be anything. That could be a baseball bat to the side of the head. That could be me dropping you from a 3rd story onto the ground. That could mean me dumping you off the back of a car onto the roadway. But none of that makes sense. If somebody just blatantly dropped you out of a car, you would roll and you'd end up in an awkward position on the road. But that's not what happened. Noah was lined up on that white line. Legs straight. Teeth broken. Now let's get into some of the nitty-gritty. So Oklahoma Bureau of Investigation actually looked at this case. So there was blood pooled near the head. He had multiple broken left ribs. He had chunks of his hair missing. Now, if somebody was going to drag you and Noah had longer hair, you just grab the person by the hair and pull them along, eventually pulling the hair out. Had a fractured skull. Well, I admire what law enforcement did on this case. They didn't just sweep this away. They went and they got the identification and the identities of everybody at that party. And they were able to track their phones. This is important. If everybody just stayed at the party and nobody left, then it's hard to pin anybody at the party with a murder on Noah. Well, not only did they do that, they went through Snapchat, Facebook, text messages, all reviewed. Nobody at the party was involved in his death. Well, Dave, how could that be? Yeah. On April 26th of 2024 in Yahoo News, there was this statement. It appears his body was dumped there. Think about that. Blood alcohol level was 0.14. 0.08 is legally intoxicated in the United States. He was pretty well toasted. There were no other drugs found in his system. But we also know that GHB is something that nobody tests for, essentially. Now let's think about Noah for a second. Healthy, young white male. Super athletic. Academic. going for a scholarship. I don't want to say that he matches the profile, but he matches the profile. Might say I'm crazy, but Dave, he wasn't in water. I know that. I refer you now to Missing 411, a UFO connection. And what happened to Carl in that movie? Yes, what happened to him? Now, in Noah's case, law enforcement said that he wasn't murdered, but it was suspicious. He's missing clothes. Where are they? Friends, that's not a stupid question. They went by, searched the party, didn't find any clothes. He was wearing clothes when he left. So where are they? The underwear is folded. One of the biggest issues in this case. Why would anyone fold clothes in relationship to Noah? But you know what, folks? If you're a follower of my work, you know that that is one thing that happens every once in a while on these 411 cases. Now, if somebody dumped Noah out of a car, they're not going to stop and fold the clothes and put it next to the body. That dog don't hunt. You're on a lonely stretch of highway in Oklahoma that's only 1 mile from a city. You aren't going to stop and screw with a body. I'm sorry. You're going to dump it and go. No drugs in his system. He's missing time. This is important. Missing time. Where was he? Where did he go? What happened? They said he left the party on the 23rd. So where was he between midnight on the 3rd and 5:43 a.m. on the 4th? Where was he? That's not an easy question to answer. Nobody saw him walking on a road. He just all of a sudden arrived. Blunt force trauma. Was he dropped? Was he placed? Injuries to the left side of the body. To me, that almost indicates he's dropped on the left side of the body. What if he was under the influence of GHB? Almost comatose. They drop you. You can't defend yourself. You're just going to hit the asphalt on your left side, fracture your skull, break your ribs. Coroner cannot determine the method of death. Cause of death, blunt force trauma. Method of death, unknown. They're saying it's not a murder, but it's suspicious. Well, everything about this case matches this book except one thing. He wasn't dropped in water. He was dropped on the asphalt. It's the only thing. Everything else is a match. I'm greatly troubled by it because I continue to see young males, high alcohol intoxication levels, get themselves into deadly situations where they can't recover from. Noah Presgrove. If you can, please share this video. I'd appreciate it. I think the more families that see what's going on and kind of see the analogy as I've walked you through this, you are appreciated. I appreciate you being here and passing along these videos to others to watch. In the meantime, be kind. Be kind. Take care of each other. Just because you're 19 and you're at a party and somebody walks away and they're drunk, don't let them go. Be mindful of each other. Take care of each other. We need the kindness revolution to take over. Thank you very much. Paulides out.